The morning began with a brutal shock as financial screens bled red across the room. Nathan Carter said, "This can't be happening." His voice trembled as he stared at the plummeting stock prices, each digit slicing through his fortune like a blade. Sweat gathered on his brow, the chaos outside reflecting the storm within. Phones rang relentlessly, emails flooded in, and silence was broken by frantic voices shouting numbers that made no sense. The financial empire he had worked years to build collapsed in mere minutes. His trusted ally, Michael Lane, rushed in with panic on his face. "Nathan, it's dropping faster than projections. We need a plan now," Michael insisted. Nathan's heart pounded, his grip tightening on the glass table. The market betrayed him, yet deep down he knew the betrayal went beyond numbers. His empire was burning, and this was only the beginning of his fall. The room pulsed with dread as Nathan sat in silence, his eyes fixed on collapsing charts. Michael said, "We're losing everything, faster than projections." Nathan's grip tightened on the leather chair, knuckles turning pale. Phones screamed around him, echoing doom with every ring, yet his thoughts drifted backward. He replayed years of ambition, the countless late nights, and the sacrifices made to build this empire. Now, all of it was unraveling. The city outside glowed with its morning rise, unaware of the empire falling within this glass tower. Nathan whispered, "It wasn't supposed to end like this," his voice barely reaching above the noise, yet carrying the weight of his despair. Nathan's phone buzzed sharply, demanding his attention. Reluctantly, he picked it up. On the other end, Daniel Reeves, his investor, thundered, "Explain this disaster, Nathan." The fury in his voice pierced through the chaos. Nathan forced out words, "The markets collapsed overnight. It's beyond control." Daniel's rage grew sharper. "If you don't fix this, my money is gone, and so are you." The threat struck like a blade, every syllable a reminder of what was at stake. Nathan's grip on the phone tightened, his shoulders sagging under invisible weight. Michael stood in silence, his worried gaze locked on Nathan, powerless to ease the crushing moment. Michael leaned forward, his tone urgent yet controlled. "Nathan, we can't hold this alone. We need help, and we need it now." Nathan shook his head stubbornly, eyes refusing to meet Michael's. "I won't beg them," he muttered, his pride fighting against reason. The office roared with phones and alarms, each sound cutting deeper into his nerves. Michael's frustration broke through. "This isn't about pride, Nathan. It's survival." Nathan remained silent, the war inside him raging between ego and reality. The empire slipping through his hands was more than business. It was his identity, and admitting defeat felt unbearable. The door creaked open, and Samuel Grant entered. His once powerful presence carried a weight of fallen glory. Samuel said, "I warned you, Nathan. The system devours anyone foolish enough to think it plays fair." Nathan's chest tightened, his pride wounded by Samuel's words. Michael glanced at the older man with uncertainty, unsure if he came as ally or tormentor. Samuel stepped closer, voice deep and steady. "The storm hasn't peaked. If you think today is bad, wait until tomorrow." Nathan sank further into his chair, realizing this was no passing nightmare. The collapse was only beginning. Nathan's stomach churned as he scanned the latest reports. The numbers weren't just bad, they were corrupted. His eyes caught inconsistencies, missing funds that couldn't be explained by market swing. Nathan muttered, "This doesn't add up." His voice broke with fear and rage. He had trusted his team, trusted the system, but now the betrayal revealed itself in the spreadsheets. Michael leaned closer, whispering, "Someone's moving money, Nathan. These gaps aren't errors." The realization hit like a strike to the chest. This wasn't a natural collapse, it was sabotage. The empire wasn't just falling, it was being pulled apart from within. Nathan stormed into the boardroom, where Victor Stone, his rival and secret antagonist, waited calmly. Victor, with his impeccable suit and cold smile, said, "You look tired, Nathan. Trouble in paradise?" Nathan glared, refusing to sit. The silence between them weighed heavy, broken only by the hum of the projector displaying market data. Nathan finally said, "You knew this would happen." Victor leaned back, steepling his fingers, eyes glinting with satisfaction. "I warned you about risky dreams. The world punishes dreamers." Nathan's chest tightened with fury, realizing his rival was not a bystander but an architect of his ruin. In a dim corridor, Anna Lewis, the whistleblower, waited nervously. She handed Nathan a slim folder, her voice low and urgent. "You need to see this. They're bleeding you dry." Nathan flipped through the documents, his heart pounding as numbers and names revealed a conspiracy. Anna's eyes darted nervously around, her fear palpable. She whispered, "If they find out I gave this to you, I'm finished." Nathan whispered back, "You've done more for me than anyone else." Her courage contrasted the shadows threatening to swallow them both. This wasn't just betrayal. It was orchestrated theft. The next morning, Nathan met Daniel Reeves in his penthouse office. Daniel's expression was cold, his patience thin. "Nathan, I can't justify this anymore," Daniel said, his tone firm and final. Nathan's voice cracked as he replied, "You promised to stand with me." Daniel shook his head. "I promised returns, not ruin." The air between them grew suffocating as Daniel tapped his fingers on the polished desk, the city skyline gleaming behind him. Nathan felt the weight of abandonment, his last source of financial hope slipping away. He whispered, "If you pull out now, I lose everything." Back in his office, Nathan forced a reassuring smile as Michael confronted him. Michael said, "You're falling apart, Nathan. Tell me the truth, can we survive this?" Nathan's voice was steady but empty. "We'll find a way. We always do." Michael studied him, doubt clear in his eyes. The hum of the failing systems around them echoed the fragility of Nathan's words. Michael muttered, "I hope you're right, because I've staked everything on you." Nathan turned away, hiding the despair that threatened to crack his facade. His silence screamed louder than words, and Michael knew the truth without hearing it. The storm tightened its grip as debt collectors circled Nathan's empire. Letters piled up, each stamped with red urgency, each demanding what he no longer had. Nathan sat frozen at his desk, listening to the phone ring with threats he could not answer. Michael burst in, voice heavy with fear. "They're moving in fast, Nathan. They want blood, not promises." Nathan pressed his temples, the weight unbearable. He whispered, "I built this with everything I had. And now they'll take it all." Outside, the city glowed in sharp contrast, unaware of the empire crumbling floor by floor. Samuel Grant entered quietly, his cane tapping the floor with solemn rhythm. His weary eyes scanned Nathan's desperate state. Samuel said, "I've seen this before. It starts with numbers, ends with ruin." Nathan shot him a glare, his voice sharp. "You speak as though you wanted this." Samuel lowered his head, the scars of his own downfall etched into his face. "I only want you to understand. Pride blinds faster than failure." Nathan's fists clenched. Samuel's words felt like salt on fresh wounds, yet hidden within them was bitter wisdom. The system had destroyed Samuel once, and now it was devouring Nathan. Far from Nathan's office, Victor Stone moved pieces like a master of war. He met with brokers, his cold smile sharp as he orchestrated market moves designed to bury Nathan deeper. Victor said, "Pull the strings tighter, let him suffocate." His allies nodded, their faces pale under the weight of his command. Every trade, every whisper in the financial world tightened the noose around Nathan's empire. Victor leaned back in his chair, sipping expensive whiskey, his eyes gleaming with satisfaction. To him, Nathan's suffering was not collateral. It was the price. The destruction was not accidental. It was personal. Late into the night, Michael confronted Nathan, the weight of their friendship cracking under the pressure. Michael said, "You're drowning us, Nathan. We need a plan, not silence." Nathan stared at the desk, his voice hollow. "Every plan burns faster than it's made." Michael's fists slammed the table, papers scattering. "I put everything into you, and you're giving me nothing back." Nathan's eyes flickered with regret, but the words failed to leave his lips. The bond between them strained under despair, loyalty bending dangerously close to breaking. Silence returned, heavier than the storm outside. In her cramped apartment, Anna Lewis sat with trembling hands staring at documents spread across her table. Her phone buzzed with unknown calls, the fear of exposure closing in. She whispered to herself, "If they find me, I'm done." Yet her resolve hardened as she marked critical names in red ink. Nathan's survival depended on her courage, though it placed her directly in danger. A knock at the door made her freeze, heart pounding in her chest. She whispered, "Stay calm, Anna," though her shaking hands betrayed her. Secrets carried weight, and tonight, it felt unbearable. Nathan sat in the darkened office, flipping through the folder Anna had given him. Each page was a dagger, exposing transfers, secret accounts, and names he once trusted. His chest grew tight, every revelation confirming his empire's destruction was planned. Michael entered quietly, his voice breaking the silence. "What are you looking at?" Nathan raised the folder with shaking hands. "Proof. They didn't just let me fall, they pushed me." His voice cracked under the weight of betrayal. Michael leaned closer, scanning the papers, his jaw clenching. The truth was no longer hidden. It had a name, and it cut deep. In the luxurious boardroom, Nathan confronted Victor, slamming the damning folder on the table. Nathan's voice thundered, "You engineered this." Victor smirked, leaning back with calm arrogance. "I didn't engineer anything. I simply anticipated your mistakes." The smirk only deepened Nathan's rage. He pointed at the documents, veins visible on his hand. "These are your fingerprints, Victor." Victor's eyes glimmered coldly. "Then prove it. Until then you're nothing but a desperate man with empty claims." The silence afterward was suffocating, as if the walls themselves sided with Victor's power. Nathan's fury burned, but his control slipped further. Daniel Reeves summoned Nathan to his office, the skyline glowing behind him like a crown of authority. Daniel's tone was sharp as glass. "You think Victor betrayed you alone? I had reasons to listen to him." Nathan staggered back, his chest tightening. You worked with him?" Daniel's voice remained cold. "Business, Nathan, nothing more." Nathan's hands trembled, rage colliding with disbelief. "You invested in me, Daniel. You believed in me." Daniel's lips curled faintly. "I believed in profit, not you." The words cut deeper than any market crash. Loyalty had vanished. Only greed remained. Later that night, Samuel Grant revealed his own shadowed truth. Sitting across from Nathan, his weathered eyes softened, yet his words carried guilt. "I guided you toward that deal, Nathan. I thought it could save you. Instead, it ruined you." Nathan's fists clenched, betrayal heavy in the air. "You knew the risks." Samuel lowered his head, his voice a whisper. "I knew too well. I once gambled the same way, and I lost everything." His cane tapped softly against the floor as silence fell. Nathan stared at the broken mentor before him, realizing his ruin was not fate but a cycle repeating. Back in the silence of his shattered office, Michael stood with folded arms, his loyalty faltering. "Tell me, Nathan," Michael said, his voice cold. "How much did you know?" Nathan's eyes darted, his silence betraying him. Michael's jaw tightened as he stepped closer. "I trusted you with everything. Now I wonder if you hid more than you revealed." Nathan's voice cracked. "I never lied to you, Michael. I only hoped to protect us both." The air grew heavier, trust eroding like sand beneath their feet. In that silence, their bond frayed, leaving Nathan truly alone. The boardroom filled with a brittle hush as Nathan entered, resolve forged by sleepless nights. Victor lounged at the far end, the picture of control. Nathan said, "This ends today." Michael stood behind him, silent but steady. Nathan slid copies of transfers across the table. "Shell accounts, wash trades, your signatures shadow every move." Victor's smile thinned, but his eyes stayed cold. He said, "Allegations are not convictions." Nathan felt the tremor in his chest and forced it still. "Then face the light," he said. The projector flared, and the timeline bloomed across the screen. Every path led to Victor's door. Down the corridor, Anna waited with the drive clasped in white knuckles. She said, "If this goes out, there's no return." Nathan nodded, the weight plain in his eyes. "Let truth move," he answered. Michael connected the laptop, and the files pulsed alive. Contracts, messages, side letters, and orders flowed like a river of iron facts. Anna whispered, "They buried this for years." Nathan said, "Then we will unearth it in minutes." With one command, the leak launched to regulators and press. The clock changed tone. The silence felt brighter, and fear turned into motion. Sirens of attention rose online as Victor countered with legal thunder. His counsel's letter hit like a hammer. Michael read the lines and winced. Nathan said, "He wants a cage of fear." Anna steadied her breath. "Then we answer with daylight," she said. Nathan called Daniel, the line brittle with history. Daniel said, "You are playing with fire." Nathan replied, "You financed the match." The pause crackled with old power and new risk. "Withdraw your threats, Daniel," Nathan said. "Stand neutral or be named." A distant exhale. The call ended without comfort, yet the wall began to crack. Samuel arrived like a winter gust, fatigue etched in each step. He said, "The room will not give you mercy, only terms." Nathan answered, "Then we will give them truth." Samuel's eyes softened. "Truth is a blade. Choose where it cuts." Michael placed a draft on the table. "A counterproposal," he said. It offered restitution for small investors and demanded an audit under court eyes. Samuel nodded. "This is a map, not a miracle." Nathan breathed in. "A map will do." The plan felt imperfect, but it carried a spine. They moved toward the door, ready to face the fire. They entered a town hall ballroom repurposed for claims, rows of faces carved by worry. A woman stepped forward, voice shaking but clear. "My retirement was in your fund," she said. Nathan met her eyes and did not blink. "Tell me your name," he asked. "Grace Miller," she said. Michael's throat tightened. Nathan said, "Grace, I failed you." The words cost him, yet they rang true. He outlined the restitution pool, the audit, the timeline, and the fight ahead. Grace said, "Do not promise me comfort. Promise me the truth." Nathan nodded once. "You have it," he said. The room listened. Nathan gathered the team in the dim-lit office, papers scattered like fallen leaves. His voice shook but held fire. "One chance remains," he said. "We gamble on the new bid." Michael leaned forward, fear etched into his face. "It's suicide, Nathan. If it fails, we're finished." Anna's eyes flickered between them, whispering, "If it works, you buy time." Samuel tapped his cane softly, muttering, "I once tried the same path. It burned me to ash." Nathan clenched his fists, staring at the documents. "Then let the fire test me. I'd rather burn fighting than wither waiting." Silence sealed their pact. Daniel Reeves leaned back in his leather chair, the skyline shimmering behind him. His tone was colder than stone. "If you want my capital again, Nathan, the terms are mine. Majority control. My signature above yours." Nathan's chest tightened, pride battling desperation. Michael hissed, "He's extorting you." Daniel's gaze flicked to him like a blade. "Business, gentlemen. Nothing personal." Nathan forced a bitter smile. "Everything about this is personal." Daniel shrugged, sliding the contract across the glass desk. "Sign or sink?" The silence grew heavy. Nathan's hand hovered above the paper, the weight of ruin pressing down. Later, in the quiet of the office, Michael faced Nathan directly. His voice cracked with hurt. "I've followed you through every storm, Nathan, but this might drown us both." Nathan turned, guilt etched across his face. "Michael, I never meant for you to bleed in my fight." Michael stepped closer, fury rising. "I sold my home. My family trusts you more than me now. Tell me, do we have a chance?" Nathan's silence filled the room like smoke. Michael's eyes burned with betrayal, but deep inside, loyalty still fought for breath. Their bond stood on the knife's edge. Anna sat in her apartment, phone glowing with a drafted message ready to send. The files attached would expose Victor and Daniel fully. Her hand shook as she whispered, "Once I hit send, my life changes forever." Her reflection trembled in the screen, fear colliding with resolve. She thought of Nathan's exhausted face, Michael's loyalty, and the victim's voices. Anna exhaled, steadying her pulse. "Truth deserves air," she murmured, pressing her thumb against the screen. The message whooshed into the digital storm, irreversible. For the first time, she felt both broken and unshackled. The deal was set. Nathan walked into the trading floor as dawn light spilled across rows of screens. Traders murmured, sensing the gamble ahead. Michael stood beside him, shoulders squared despite doubt. Samuel lingered near the glass wall, eyes haunted, cane tapping softly. Nathan raised his voice. "This is it. Every cent, every second, we risk it all now." The room held its breath as the first trades launched. Numbers surged and dipped, fortunes flashing in red and green. Nathan's heart pounded with each tick. Redemption or ruin, nothing lay between. His entire world balanced on a razor's edge. The final hour struck as Nathan stood before the screens. His gamble had begun, and the market roared like a living beast. Each trade surged, then threatened collapse. Michael's voice cut through the noise. "Hold steady, Nathan. It's turning in our favor." Nathan's pulse thundered in his ears, eyes locked on numbers flashing green. Samuel whispered from the side, "Pray the fire bends, not breaks." Nathan clenched the edge of the desk, every muscle rigid. The tide shifted, briefly showing profit. For the first time in weeks, hope flickered. But he knew this was no victory. It was a razor's edge of survival. Victor Stone watched the chaos unfold from his glass tower, the leak and trades turning his empire to smoke. His fists gripped the armrests of his chair, face twisted with rage. "He turned the tide," he muttered, disbelief cutting through his calm facade. His advisors stood silent, too fearful to speak. For the first time, Victor's control faltered. He slammed his glass down, shattering it across marble floors. "This isn't over," he roared, though the words carried less power than before. Nathan's defiance had exposed him, and now his name echoed through headlines. The predator had tasted his first wound. Across the city, Grace Miller, one of the countless victims, read the news on her cracked tablet. Tears welled, not from despair but from release. She whispered, "At last, someone spoke the truth." Her small apartment felt lighter as she clutched the paper Nathan's team had released, outlining restitution. The weight of betrayal still burned, but hope carved its way through. She thought of her lost savings, the nights of fear, the endless worry. Now, for the first time, there was a path to justice. The wound remained, but it was no longer silent. Grace straightened, strength kindling in her eyes. Back in his office, Nathan sat alone, the screens finally dark. The silence pressed heavy, broken only by the faint hum of city traffic below. He whispered, "I've lost more than money." Michael entered quietly, hand on his shoulder. "But you've gained something else, truth." Nathan's eyes shimmered with exhaustion. Samuel leaned on his cane by the window, voice gravelly. "You've survived, but scars last longer than victories." Nathan rose slowly, his body heavy yet unbroken. He looked around the room, once filled with ambition, now haunted with cost. For the first time, he saw his empire, not as power, but as lesson. Nathan stood by the window, the skyline bathed in fading gold. His reflection stared back, hollow yet steadied. He whispered, "I lost my fortune, but not myself." Michael joined him, silent, the city stretching beyond them. Behind, Samuel tapped his cane once, then left quietly. Nathan closed his eyes, feeling the weight of ashes and the faint ember of tomorrow. Outside, traffic hummed, the city unaware of his silent war. Grace's face flashed in his memory, and he understood the cost had meaning. As the sun dipped, Nathan's whisper lingered in the air. The day I lost it all, I found the truth.